What do you normally what do you normally build? What is your
doctor's offices?
Doctor's offices?
Yeah.
So you're specialized kind of a.
Yeah, it's kind of like I specialize in retail.
He worked at Starbucks before.
So yeah, I did Starbucks and I do doctor's offices. Well, I like retail, hospitality type stuff.
Okay, and again, well, you're.
I work for a tech company, but I do internal operations, so it's kind of hard to explain. But have you heard of Salesforce? Like, it's a database that stores our customer information. I manage.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I mean, because that's everything. I mean, everything is mega data these days.
Yeah.
And I think, they had a tech convention in town last week, and it was all these AI guys, and so I had some great conversations. One guy worked for Google. 2 hours he spent with me. I mean, we were just going round and round and round. I was asking him all kinds of questions about Google censoring, conservative thought, Twitter, censoring, how they're working with the algorithms to drive certain ideologies to the top and others to the bottom. So you're aware of all this? You know all about that?
Yeah, I mean, to some extent.
And then there was that guy who sued Google. It might have been Google, could have been Twitter, because of the diversity thing, where they were hiring people just because they were women or transvestite or black, or instead of on their ability to do the job. And he wrote a letter, and then they fired him. And then he's suing, whoever fired him. Yeah, I think that's San Francisco.
I kind of remember that. Yeah. There's all sorts of crazy stuff going on.
There's a little.
You noticed.
More in that letter than just that. But.
Yeah. And where do you guys fall politically on the spectrum of things? I mean,
left of center.
Left of center? Yeah. Okay. So you're not a full, you're not out there. Yeah, because I used to be back in the day. I mean, it was against the wars. It was all left, it's stop the war. That was my shtick. But of course, I got hip to this false left-right paradigm. The labels they try to put on us and the holes they try to put us in, so we get to fight with one another. And all liberals are morons, and you stupid warmongering. But right. Which turns out to not be true, because when I ask people usually what defines a liberal to you, what does that mean? It's usually they wind up talking about being socially, liberal, but fiscally conservative. So what are you? So I mean, what does that make you?
And who's not fiscally conservative? Who wants to just go around spending a crap ton of money?
Our government.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the government. It's really how do you define the role of the government? I feel like that's what determines your political leanings. Like, what's the role of the government?
Well, indeed. What is the role of the government to you?
The role of the government is to do the things that people won't do for themselves. So, like, build the roads, put out the fires, fight the crime.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I mean, if we could just limit it to that, that'd be nice.
Educate the population.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't want the government in the education business. I'd like to see, because when that happens, then that's when they can start indoctrinating, which our educational system has kind of turned out to be. I mean, if you read any of the communist doctrines, or listen to read Carol Quigley's Tragedy and Hope, or the whole globalist agenda is about having governments use the schools to indoctrinate people to be dependent on the government rather than be individuals thinking individuals. So I would kind of like balk. Everything else you just said sounds kind of cool. Yeah, of course. We need coordination doing the things that are just common sense that need to be done. But then when you start getting into bending people's minds or socially engineering them with all these special interest programs and NGOs and all, that's when it gets weird. That's when you can wind up having, you start getting ideologues at the top of the FBI that tried to go ahead and subvert a duly elected president from getting in office and then being in office. I mean, because that's what's been coming out in the memos, and that's what came out in the testimony with the FBI informants, and, just their own texts.
Yeah.
How they're subverting, they used the whole phony, of course you kept up with the phony dossier that they used to go to the FISA court to get the...
I don't know if it's been proven phony yet. Has there been anything that's been refuted in it?
Well, I mean, given the fact that it was vetted by the FBI, given the fact that it had gone through several, months of congressional deals, and given the fact we can look at just these, I mean, this is on record that we know she paid for the dossier. That alone was held from the FISA court. And why would we be going to the FISA court? Because it's for foreign terrorists to spy on Americans. Well, it's obvious because the FISA court is like a star chamber, rubber stamp court. You don't see the evidence. You go, yeah, right? They just let it go. But it gets real weird when we look at the fact that Orr, who was one of the investigators, right, one of the FBI guys, has his wife working for Fusion GPS, working on the opposition research against Trump for Clinton. So this woman's getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. She's the wife of an FBI agent who's working on the investigation against Trump. You don't see a conflict of interest there?
No.
Well, now I can see why you're getting far left liberal, because if you don't see a conflict of interest here, you have no sense of morality, no sense of ethics, no sense of judgment, because I can't understand how you cannot see that that's not a conflict of interest. This whole thing was proven to be salacious. They held back information from the court. So there's conflicts of interest going on everywhere in this.
Well, I'll be honest.
I think it's going on everywhere.
I don't know how to read. All right, we gotta go. See you later.
Have a good day.
Yeah.